Okay, I'm going to assume that you've already loaded your model, you've done your takes, and now you want to get that work back into your CAD software. So if you're in the app, you can click on this review button in the top right, and you can take a look at the work that you've done. Maybe you want to preview it before you send it over, or pick which take you like the best. I think this one works pretty good for me. This is take number 10. Cool. Jetset actually runs a web server in the background, which would enable some really interesting features. But you're going to want to be able to figure out where the IP address is. So what you can do is click on the gear icon in the bottom left. And right at the bottom of that list, there's the show Jetset IP address. So on my local network, that's where I can find it. So take note of that. Okay, so the companion app that ships with Jetset for the desktop is called AutoShot, and that can be downloaded from the developer's website, which will be listed in the comments below. And this is what it looks like. So you're going to launch this, and Jetset by default saves all your files to a directory it creates on iCloud, but that can be changed by clicking browse. But you're pretty much going to, it's a good solution for most of us, because it begins to sync automatically. You get the backup features of iCloud, which is great. Okay, so right now we could import all of our files from iCloud, but there is a faster way to do this. And if you're on the same network as your iOS device that you've used to create your shots, it's going to show up as a client here. So depending on which day you're working on, I shot most of this footage yesterday, and the one that I want to select for this demo is in yesterday's work. So you can also enter that manually, as I mentioned before, if it doesn't show up in your client up here, and then connect. But since it was able to detect that we were on the same network, it's already showing up, and we are connected already because the client is listed here. Okay, so we're going to sync everything, all of the takes that we did from yesterday, and we're going to sync that to our folder. AutoShot's going to work on that for a minute and send that over the Wi-Fi. I will wait for that to finish and then cut over. Cool. So now we can look at our days. We're going to select the take that we identified earlier, which I think is take number 10. Yep, that's a good one. And you're going to want to, you can pick any take you want, but you're going to down here want to make sure that you have the app that you want to work with selected as your program. So I'm going to keep Blender, and you can pick the executable, but it's basically, if you have more than one version of Blender, it will select the one that defaults in the system settings. All right, a couple of things to note very quickly. We've got our file loaded. We've got our take selected. There's an option here called the generated blend file, and depending on the size of your file, you may want to either link or append it. I would select link if your file's going to stay in the same place and you're not sharing it necessarily. If you click append, it's going to put it into the same directory where all of your Jetset data is stored. It becomes sort of more shareable in a way. But I would select link scene, especially if you have a big file. Then there's some other options over here we should touch on. Create Blender render file. That's basically just, if you uncheck this, then it's going to ignore some of these settings. And then open Blender with render file is just going to launch Blender with the resultant selections you've made here. Make sure your scene loc is the right one. Yes, we know that we're in the boardroom and we're using the boardroom wide scene locator. And then just click save and run, and that's going to give you, that's going to basically parse all the data into Blender. So click save and run, and then we'll jump over to Blender and take a look. It's going to take a minute to cook. And then it's going to launch Blender. Okay, here we are in Blender, and one thing I need to note is that you will need to download a free add-on, that is the AutoShot add-on, in order to parse all this data from AutoShot into Blender. Once you've done that, you should be good to go. Okay, so now we've successfully round-tripped our camera track from Jetset back into our DCC app of choice, in this case Blender. And you can run the animation. You can switch over and take a look at how it's going to look ray traced. You can include, you can start to modify the original file and change paint colors, change lighting, change your floor plan, your furniture plan, and you still retain your original blocking. So that's it. You've successfully round-tripped from Jetset back to your DCC app.